Hey everyone, either welcome back or welcome to my channel. Hello, my name is Ashley Stewart, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about 3 things I've learned with IIH. I make videos about idiopathic intracranial hypertension on Mondays, and on Thursdays I make science-related content. Don't forget to check out last week's video where I talk about the intro to proteins. So I give you the structure of amino acids and basically tell you how to make protein. So definitely a good one to check out if you're interested in learning a little bit of biochemistry and what I fell in love with a few years ago anyways. So the first one is going to be 1, it's okay to feel down sometimes. 2, being positive about the current situation makes life a lot easier. And 3 is going to be focusing on pre-diagnosis and telling you the struggle that I went through when I was trying to get a diagnosis initially when I was still in school, and I learned so much about myself during this time that I actually do want to share this with you. Let's get into the video. So the first thing I want to cover is it's okay to feel down sometimes. I know there's a lot of people who say that it's okay to feel sad sometimes and all of that, but having IIH really brings us to a different kind of level. So when you have a chronic illness, you're often dealing with changes in dosaging to your medication, changes in the approach to how the doctors are currently managing your situation, because with chronic diseases, they're just managing the situation. There's not really a whole bunch that can be done, but there are a few things that they can do to help you, and they do their best. So sometimes you have an appointment that just doesn't go as what you expected. I had this happen actually in November. Was definitely a struggle with my mental health because of it. And I had went into this and I had done a little bit of reading on idiopathic intracranial hypertension. And the one thing that definitely stands out online is the fact that this disease seems to be common in people who are overweight or obese. And since I definitely fit into that category, it was something that, like, okay, great. I know how to lose weight. I can get rid of this condition really easily. I've done this before. So this shouldn't be too difficult. Few months and it should be gone, right? Let me tell you, the weight loss has not been easy this time. Been really struggling actually with the weight loss this time compared to the other couple times that I've done weight loss. So sorry guys, if I look tired, it's because I've just had recently quite a bad week with my IIH. So that's why if you notice my eyes are looking a little bit tired or something, that's probably why. A bad appointment can make me feel down. An increase in medication. I actually had this happen a couple months ago now, where I went to the doctor's office. I was having a really good success with weight loss, but I was describing the symptoms, and my doctor's like, I think we need to give you an increase in your medication because it sounds like those are symptoms of your condition. And the last time I had an increase in medication was the first week after I'd actually started on my medication, and it did not go very well. My body did not handle it very well, so meaning I was nervous too about even increasing it even just a little bit because of this recent experience. So I came home and I was down for a couple days. Well, what do I do when I'm down? Well, when I'm down, I will watch the people who I look up to. So I will watch some YouTube videos, I will watch comedy, and I will do pretty much everything I can think of. But this time it didn't work. I was just sad for a day, and you know what? It was okay to be sad for this day. It was only for a day, and then I felt okay again. So allowing myself to have these down times is just as important as trying to smile too. So even though I like to smile through the pain, it's not always the best thing, I guess, maybe. But you do what you can to try and make a bad situation good again. So the next thing I want to talk about is being positive about my current situation makes life a lot easier. This couldn't be more true. So being more positive overall has not only allowed me to be ultimately more happier, it's just been eye-opening to learn about myself too. When I say I'm being more positive, it means I'm not focusing on things that get me down and trying to stay away from negative things. And actually, there's been some interesting research around this too. So, if you guys want to check that out, definitely look up at Google Scholar or your university's library website, whatever you use to keep up with scientific research in the area of healthcare. But I have had leaps and bounds in how I've been feeling since being more positive. So I try and look at the good things in every situation. And this is something that I actually mentioned that I wanted to work on in my 40 Facts About Me. I will link it above here so that you guys can find that video. I really want to be more positive about my situation because it really does improve the outlook and gives me a better way of being the best I can be with what I can control and what I can't. So my attitude is something that I actually have quite a bit of control over usually, and a lot of this condition is something that I can't control. When I get headaches, when I get dizzy, all these symptoms are something that I don't have control over. And so I just really want to emphasize that it's a lot easier said than done. This is something that I think all of us struggle with daily. Now I want to tell my story a little bit about how I kind of have discovered a little bit about myself over the last, I guess it's really over about a year and a month now. It's hard to believe it's been 13 months since this craziness started, but it's March now, so I've been dealing with this for quite a while, I guess. Seems like it's been a lot longer than that some days, and it seems like it was just yesterday on others. So I want to tell a little bit more about the overview. I'm going to insert another card to the IIH diagnosis story so that you guys can click that if you want. I can also include it at the end of the video. I probably will on all these IIH videos, just in case this is the first time that you're discovering that I do quite a bit of videos on IIH, and maybe you're surprised as to how much I do on IIH and taking a different perspective than just talking about, the basics. I do have videos on the basics about IIH in case you're wanting to know a little bit more about it without having to do the reading. I know as myself, I do a lot better with videos than I do with reading, partly because of the double vision, but partly because I seem to learn better from videos. I don't really understand why that is, but my story starts January 30th of 2018. This is when I started the antibiotics, but I want to actually start 10 days later. So I had been put on an antibiotic for, like I said in the video, an infection. And 10 days later, I had finished that antibiotic. And I guess I was just noticing symptoms. I'm gonna start this by saying that time that I was finished the antibiotics was just before, it may have even been just slightly after, I had 2 midterms that were actually quite early. And one class had 2 midterms. Pretty much our exams were called midterms in university, even though not all of them were always midway through the semester. But they were exams, and so the one class only had 1 exam, and then the other class had 2 exams that were considered midterm. So this one class I'm going to be talking about is the one class that actually had 2 midterms. This class, I love this class. This class was amazing. I don't know why I did so badly on the midterm. It was probably because I actually ended up missing one of these classes because I was studying actually for a different class at the time because I hadn't been feeling very well, so I hadn't had time to study for that previous class. So I'd actually skipped this one class in this other class. And actually one of the major parts of the examination was actually from the class I had missed. I actually ended up having a headache during this midterm too. I didn't realize that these headaches meant anything at the time, though. I just thought, I'm probably tired. I get really, really bad exam anxiety, so I usually have trouble sleeping before an exam. The biggest thing was that I ended up failing this midterm actually quite badly. So I hadn't performed this badly on an exam actually really in university before. So this was a huge wake-up call saying something is not right, and it's not just me. Like, I honestly probably took 70% of the blame myself because that's just how strict I was on myself. I mean, I felt like it was actually all my fault. But then I started realizing, no, something's really, really going on with my health. And now it's interfering with my academics. And I had actually texted my mom when I got the results back and said, we really need to figure out what's going on because it's affecting my academics. So it was basically back and forth to doctors up until I got back home and was able to see my family doctor. Basically, during this time, it was just a matter of me getting through until finals. Once finals came around, so I actually just had a doctor's appointment at this time. And at this time, I had already decided I was moving back home to try and figure out what was going on. I had just figured out that I was really, really going to need a good performance in order to pass these classes to the point where it would satisfy my major. So I need to explain this a little bit further. So at our university and in my department, we had two requirements that we had to meet in order to meet graduation expectations. So to graduate, we had to have a certain average in our major. Now, classes in the major for biochemistry people are all chemistry, biochemistry, biomedical science classes. So this includes anything like biomedical sciences, chemistry, microbiology, immunology, anatomy, cell biology, physiology, pharmacology, and biochemistry. A lot of places probably would consider like a pre-med. We didn't really have that where I went to school. So now if you wanted to be competitive for med, you would have to have like an 85 to 95 average. I needed to meet the graduation expectations. I mean, they weren't that crazy, but I had had a few classes that were not great, so I probably should have repeated them, but I didn't. So for me, it was a matter of doing math and figuring out, okay, I definitely have to work hard, but I figured out actually a couple weeks into the final schedule, because our university, we actually have for April, most of April, last, I guess 3 weeks of April really is exams, 3 or 4 weeks, 3.5-ish weeks of April is exams. Once I got to that point, I knew I was going to be okay because I honestly couldn't have had a better exam schedule. Like I said, I couldn't have planned it any better. It worked perfectly with my body, and I just was able to do what I could, and I still have this routine to this day. So my routine is I get up and I do what I need to do in the morning so that in the afternoon I can rest. So in school, this was a little bit different obviously. So I would get up, I would go to campus, and then I would study from about 8 a.m. until 4:30. And then I would come home because I was exhausted, have supper because I lived on my own. And I think that was the most difficult part actually, was the fact that I didn't have anyone to like take that issue away of you're not feeling well, let me help you kind of thing. With I hope you guys learned something from this. I hope it was able to help you in any way. I hope that maybe it gave you a better insight into what it's like living with IIH and kind of the struggles that we have to deal with constantly. Now, you may notice something about today's video, and that's the shakiness. So I have gotten a mini tripod. So I'm hoping that these improve the videos a little bit further, that maybe it helps a little bit with the video quality. So as always, don't forget to subscribe, like the video if you like the video, give me a comment down below. As for now, that's it for today, and bye everyone!